The elevator climbed silently, smooth as silk, rising toward the 42nd floor of a glass tower that cut through Midtown Manhattan like a blade. Outside, the city pulsed, taxis, ambition, money, secrets. Inside, Elena Cross stood perfectly still, one manicured hand resting on her stomach as if protecting something fragile and sacred. For the first time in 5 years, her body was finally doing what she'd begged it to do. She was pregnant. The realization still felt unreal. She'd taken 3 tests at home, then a 4th in the restroom of her office building, just to be sure. All positive. All impossible. Years of injections, hormone cycles, failed embryos, whispered condolences from doctors, then suddenly, life. Her phone buzzed. Ethan, good morning, beautiful. Don't forget to eat something healthy today. I had something special sent to your office. She smiled despite herself. Ethan Cross was good at gestures. Thoughtful ones. Public ones. The kind that made everyone believe he was the perfect husband, devoted, charming, generous. And in many ways, he was. They were New York royalty in the finance world. Together, they'd built Cross and Hale Capital into one of the fastest-growing hedge funds on the East Coast. He was the public face, the charismatic CEO who dazzled investors at cocktail parties. She was the engine, the strategist, the risk modeler, the one who saw patterns others missed. Officially, she was vice president. Unofficially, the fund didn't breathe without her. The elevator chimed. 42. As she stepped out, her assistant rushed toward her with a glowing smile. Good morning, Elena. There's a delivery for you, some kind of green smoothie thing? It looks intense. Elena laughed softly. That sounds like Ethan. She walked toward her office, heels clicking against marble, her mind drifting, not to markets or mergers, but to tiny heartbeats and nursery colors. The smoothie sat on her desk in a sleek glass bottle, condensation beading along the sides. A handwritten note was taped to it. For my miracle. Drink up, Mama. Her throat tightened. She picked it up, then paused as a wave of nausea rolled through her. Not again. She set it down, breathing through it. A knock sounded. Hey, boss, a voice chirped. She turned to see Lila Grant, one of their junior traders, young, brilliant, ambitious, and dangerously charming. Barely 30. Always impeccably dressed. Always lingering a second too long in meetings with Ethan. Morning, Elena said, masking her discomfort. What's up? I just wanted to go over the Asian markets before the call. Also, wow, that smoothie looks amazing. Is it from that place in Soho? Elena smiled weakly. Ethan sent it. I can't seem to keep anything down today. Lila tilted her head sympathetically. Oh no. Pregnancy stuff? Elena nodded. Well, don't let it go to waste. I can take a sip if you want. I skipped breakfast. Elena hesitated. Then shrugged. Sure. It's huge anyway. Lila twisted the cap and took a long pull, wiping her mouth afterward. Damn. That's actually good. Elena smiled, but something about the moment felt off. Not wrong. Just strange. Within minutes, Lila's face drained of color. You okay? Elena asked. Lila shook her head. I feel weird. She stood, then stumbled. Elena. She collapsed, chaos erupted. Someone screamed. Chairs scraped. Phones came out. Elena dropped to her knees beside her, heart pounding. Call 911. Lila was shaking now, her breath shallow, her lips turning pale. I can't feel my hands, she whispered. Within minutes, paramedics flooded the floor. Lila was rushed out on a stretcher, oxygen mask pressed to her face. Elena stood frozen, staring at the half-empty smoothie bottle still sitting on her desk. Something cold crawled up her spine. 3 hours later, Elena sat in a plastic chair outside an ICU room, her hands clasped together so tightly her knuckles had gone white. A doctor approached, his face grave. "She's stable now," he said. "But she lost the pregnancy." Elena's breath caught. "She was pregnant," she whispered. The doctor nodded. "Early stage. She also tested positive for a toxic compound, one that doesn't occur naturally." Elena's heart began to race. "What kind of compound?" The doctor hesitated. "We're still running tests, but it appears to be a synthetic toxin. Something designed to mimic food poisoning but far more dangerous." Her stomach dropped. "The smoothie." The doctor continued, "We've notified hospital security and the police. This wasn't an accident." The world tilted. Because if that smoothie had been meant for her, then someone wanted her dead. She sat alone in the hospital bathroom, staring at her reflection. Her hands were shaking now. The IVF hormones. The nausea. The missed meal. If she hadn't given that smoothie away. She pressed a hand to her abdomen. Someone had tried to kill her. And whoever did it knew her schedule. Her habits. Her office. Someone close. Her phone buzzed. "Ethan, how are you feeling? Did you like the smoothie?" Her blood turned to ice. She stared at the message, heart pounding, mind racing through every late night, every secretive phone call, every time he'd brushed her off lately. The puzzle pieces were sliding into place. And the picture they formed was terrifying. She didn't reply. Instead, she stood, squared her shoulders, and walked out of the bathroom. Because if someone wanted her dead, they had made one fatal mistake. They'd underestimated her. The police asked Elena to stay late that night. 2 detectives from Midtown South sat across from her in a quiet conference room at the hospital, their jackets draped over chairs, their questions calm but precise. She answered everything without hesitation: where the smoothie came from, who delivered it, who drank it. When they asked about her husband, she felt the room tighten. "My husband sent it," she said evenly. "As a gift." One detective raised an eyebrow. "Does your husband work in pharmaceuticals? Chemistry? Anything involving toxins?" "No," she said. "Finance." They exchanged a look. After midnight, Elena finally went home. The penthouse apartment on the Upper East Side had never felt so large or so empty. Ethan wasn't there. He'd texted earlier that he was as stuck in late meetings, followed by a heart emoji. She didn't respond. Instead, she sat at the kitchen island and replayed the last 6 months in her head. The distance. The irritability. The way he'd gone quiet after the last IVF round failed, or what they thought had failed. The way he'd suddenly started talking about exit strategies and simplifying ownership structures. And Lila. Lila Grant hadn't just been a junior trader. She'd been Ethan's shadow. Late night, portfolio reviews. Private jokes in meetings. His hand lingering on her shoulder at holiday parties. Elena had noticed. She'd chosen not to see. At 2:13 a.m., her phone buzzed again. "Ethan, I heard about Lila." "That's awful. Are you okay?" She stared at the message for a long time before typing back. "Elena, I'm fine. We'll talk tomorrow." The lie tasted bitter. The next morning, Elena didn't go to the office. Instead, she called someone she trusted more than anyone else in the city, a forensic accountant named Miriam Feld, a woman who'd once dismantled a Fortune 500 CFO using nothing but transaction logs and patience. They met at a quiet cafe in Tribeca. Elena didn't sugarcoat anything. Miriam listened, stirring her coffee slowly. When Elena finished, she set the spoon down. "If someone tried to poison you," Miriam said, "the motive matters. And in your world, motive usually means money or control." "I own 42% of the fund," Elena said. "Ethan owns 38. The rest is split among partners." "And in a divorce?" Elena exhaled. "New York law. Marital assets. Shared control. A nightmare." Miriam nodded. But if you were deemed medically unfit? Or if a pregnancy ended in a way that could be blamed on stress or negligence? The words landed like stones. He could force me out, Elena said slowly. Buy me out at a discount. Take full control. And if you died, Miriam added quietly, he'd get everything. Elena felt something harden inside her. I want you to look, she said. At everything. Shell companies. Side accounts. Anything that connects Ethan and Lila. Miriam's eyes sharpened. I'll need access. You'll have it. At the office, the mood shifted. News traveled fast on Wall Street. By noon, everyone knew Lila was hospitalized. By afternoon, rumors were spreading, food poisoning, a bad cleanse, maybe drugs. Ethan played his role perfectly. He stood at the trading floor, voice calm, offering support, sending flowers to Lila's hospital room. He called Elena twice more, leaving concerned voicemails. I'm here for you, he said in one. We'll get through this. Elena listened to them later, her jaw clenched. Because now she knew. That evening, the toxicology report came back. The substance was rare. Expensive. Hard to obtain. Not lethal in small doses, but dangerous enough to cause organ failure, miscarriages, or death under stress. The detective called her personally. We're expanding the investigation, he said. This wasn't random. She thanked him, then hung up and stared out the window at the city lights. Somewhere below, Ethan was still moving pieces on a board he thought he controlled. He didn't know she was already rewriting the game. 3 days later, Miriam called. I found something, she said. Elena closed her office door. Talk to me. Ethan's been funneling money through a Cayman shell tied to a holding company in Delaware. On paper, it's for consulting. In reality, it's paying for two things, a life insurance policy on you, and hush payments. Hush payments to who? Lila. Elena's breath caught. Miriam continued. There are emails. Drafts, actually. He never sent them, but they're saved. Discussions about timing. About how a miscarriage would soften the narrative. About how stress would make you step back. Elena closed her eyes. And the smoothie? There's a payment to a private lab in New Jersey. Same week. Same amount as the toxin's market value. Silence stretched between them. This wasn't an impulse, Miriam said. It was a plan. Elena opened her eyes, her reflection staring back from the dark glass of her office window. Good, she said quietly. Then we'll end it the same way. The Hamptons retreat was 2 weeks away. Every year, Cross and Hale gathered its top investors, partners, and press at a sprawling oceanfront estate. White tents. Champagne. Speeches about vision and growth. Ethan loved it. It was his stage. Elena smiled to herself. Let him have it. Because she was going to take everything else. The Hamptons estate shimmered beneath the summer sun, white tents stretched across manicured lawns like a wedding for money itself. Crystal glasses clinked. Laughter floated above the Atlantic breeze. Helicopters came and went, ferrying investors who wore confidence like cologne. Ethan Cross stood at the center of it all, tailored navy suit, perfect smile, arm around power and prestige. This was his kingdom. His moment. And he had no idea it was about to burn. Elena arrived quietly. She didn't wear couture or diamonds. She wore a simple ivory dress and walked with calm purpose, flanked by 2 people no one recognized, Miriam Felt and a man in a gray suit carrying a leather briefcase. Ethan spotted her across the lawn and froze. For half a second, panic flickered across his face before he recovered, smiling wide as he approached. Lena, he said warmly. You shouldn't be here. You should be resting. She looked at him with something like pity. I'm exactly where I need to be. As the sun dipped low, guests gathered around the stage. A massive screen behind the podium glowed with the firm's logo. Ethan stepped up, glass in hand. "Thank you all for coming," he began. "This firm exists because of trust." "Actually," Elena said, her voice cutting cleanly through the air, "that's not true." Every head turned. Ethan stiffened. "Lena." She walked onto the stage. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. "I'd like to share something with our investors," she said calmly. "Because trust is earned. And it's been abused." She nodded to Miriam. The screen flickered. Bank records appeared. Wire transfers. Shell companies. Email threads. A hush fell. 3 months ago, Elena continued, my husband began moving money out of the firm to fund a personal insurance policy, on my life. Gasps. Ethan stepped forward. "This is insane." "Sit down," she said. He froze. The screen changed again, this time showing time-stamped messages between Ethan and Lila. "Once the stress takes its toll, she won't last. The miscarriage will do the rest. I'll take care of everything." A woman near the front covered her mouth. Elena's voice never wavered. 2 weeks ago, a toxin was placed in a drink meant for me. My assistant drank it instead. She lost her child." A stunned silence followed. Then, "That's a lie," Ethan shouted. "She's insane." The crowd parted as 2 federal agents stepped forward. "Ethan Cross," one said, "you're under arrest for attempted murder, conspiracy, and financial fraud." Ethan's face collapsed. He turned to Elena, eyes wild. "You were supposed to be gone." She leaned close enough for only him to hear. "You should have learned by now," she whispered. "I don't disappear." News outlets exploded. Markets trembled. Cross and Hale stock plummeted overnight. By morning, Elena had assumed full control as majority shareholder, backed unanimously by the board once the evidence became public. Lila cooperated. She testified. She cried. She broke. It didn't save her. Ethan went to trial. The jury took less than 3 hours. Guilty on all counts. He never looked at Elena again. Months later, the firm reopened under a new name. Hale Integrity Group. Its mission rewritten. Its culture rebuilt. Elena sat in her new office, sunlight flooding through the windows, reviewing scholarships her firm now funded for women in finance, for mothers, for survivors. She placed a hand on her stomach. Life moved forward. One evening, she stood on the terrace overlooking the city, the same skyline that once felt like a cage. Now it felt like possibility. She wasn't the woman they tried to erase. She was the one who exposed them. And as the city lights flickered on, Elena smiled, strong, steady, unbreakable.